Good Saturday morning. We are back with some quick headlines. Special counsel Robert Mueller filing new charges against Paul Manafort and a longtime associate. Mueller's team says they have evidence of witness tampering in the investigation into Russian meddling and potential collusion with the Trump campaign associates in 2016. Manafort has pleaded not guilty. And a special prosecutor will not bring criminal charges against former Missouri Governor Eric Greitens. He was facing impeachment after being charged with invasion of privacy stemming from an affair. Charges related to campaign finance violations were also dropped in exchange for his resignation. Let's go over to the staircase. Pete?
Abby, my first ever interview from the staircase, and they're trying to debauch it. Well, a Fox News alert. President Trump at the G7 summit, putting America first and promising to tackle trade.
The United States has had a very big trade deficit for many years with the European Union, and we're working it out.
This as he is hours away from leaving this for his historic summit with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. So what should the world and America be looking for? Here to weigh in is our panel of experts. Michael Malice, author of Dear Reader, the unauthorized autobiography of Kim Jong-il. Hagar Kamali, CEO of Greenwich Media Strategies and former communications director for the U.S. mission to the United Nations, and for Ambassador Samantha Power, and Dr. Rebecca Grant, a national security and international relations expert. Thank you all for being here this morning. Really appreciate it. Hagar, let me start with you. As you look at the G7, you know the president's going in with the perspective of putting America first, getting better trade deals. What do you make of the reaction so far to the summit there?
Well, listen, if I were President Trump's advisor, I would advise him to go in there with the goal of reinforcing our relationships with our allies, with making sure that they don't think that this is a trade war, that rather that President Trump is protectionist, he's trying to protect American businesses, and he has to pursue those policies as such. Things have been a bit awkward, understandably, for a few reasons. On one part, because some of the agenda focuses on international agreements, right, related to climate change and international peace and security. And so the allies there are understandably upset with the United States walking away from the Paris climate deal and the Iran agreement.
But we knew that, right?
I mean, yes, of course. And President Trump has to reinforce why he did that and what his goals are in those fields in particular. And I think that's why he has to focus so much on reinforcing the relationship with the allies, because especially in the run-up going to the summit in Singapore, I think he has to realize that one of the reasons our sanctions are effective, one of the reasons why we have the upper hand, is because of the multilateral relationships we have.
That's true, but also you add up all the other countries of the G7 and they don't match the GDP of America, so we can throw our weight around. Michael, so he's skipping the climate change talks at the G7 to get to Singapore early. What do you expect as we get a preview of what might happen in Singapore?
I mean, from what Kim Jong-un has been saying publicly, it seems like everything is on the table, including liberalization of the country, denuclearization. The thing I'm most concerned about is President Trump has made it a point to discuss North Koreans' human rights abuses very famously during the State of the Union, when we had that refugee raising up his crutch to the cheers of the entire Congress. At the same time, North Korea vociferously denies that they have any human rights abuses. They claim they don't have concentration camps and that these are villages overflowing with happiness, when in fact it's the worst places on earth. So it'll be interesting to see if this is something that is discussed publicly, or maybe it's discussed privately and North Korea is allowed to save face as long as they do the right thing.
Rebecca, as we move into this historic summit, big takeaways you're looking for. What's possible here?
First of all, Singapore is going to be summit #1. What I'd like to see is Kim give some real sign that he's willing to talk denuclearization. That could include telling us more about what he has in his arsenal. Where are the bombs? How many ICBMs? And remember, Kim wants security guarantees, but North Korea still has a massive army, lots of artillery, stunning cyber weapons, and none of that is on the table in Singapore.
Interesting. So let me go around the table here with all of you, because it's, we can talk about the principles. But Hagar, let me start with you. When it comes to, do you expect a historic breakthrough here, briefly?
I think it's certainly unprecedented, right? I mean, to have two leaders meet where the negotiations have been short-circuited on the first hand, and on the second hand, the U.S. and North Korean leaders haven't met since the 1960s. So it's certainly a breakthrough in that regard. I expect the president to try and walk away with a deal, especially one that's about America first. I don't know how, of course, the Japanese or South Koreans are going to feel about that. Probably not favorably. But I'm not sure how well it'll be enforced as previous deals haven't been.
Michael, thoughts?
I would bet good money that things behind the scenes have already been negotiated to some extent, maybe vis-a-vis with China as the middleman. So they're going to all walk away with some kind of win so that they can all hold their hands up high.
Rebecca, briefly, does the Korean War end in Singapore?
The Korean War will end, absolutely, and Singapore will start that process.
Interesting. Michael, Hagar, and Rebecca, thank you very much for your time this morning. Appreciate it. Good stuff. It'll be very interesting. We'll be watching.